Matrix mind control software. From his experiences of Matrix software he has learnt many things which remain undiscovered by mass society. He has been mind controlled for more than 30,000 hours and he has seen more than 1,500 UFO. Most people choose not to believe in MacLeod's information, but you are not most people and the truth remains out there and here for you to discover. James MacLeod researches the unknown. James MacLeod looks into subjects which remain massively misunderstood. He has inside know-how as he has been targeted by Matrix mind control software for huge parts of his life. We welcome you to reality here at James MacLeod Television.
The following recording is a voice recording from me in, I believe, 2015. I was talking about an experience I had back in 2008, and I've recently done a video blog about that experience. It was an experience whereby something happened in a hospital room and I felt like that I was being held at gunpoint, and I definitely saw men outside my room with guns, and in the grounds there were men with guns, and they were pointing their guns at me, and they were in military uniform. Anyway, so this is a recording leading up to that hospital admission. This was recorded in 2015.
It was leading up to May the 30th, and it was my wife's birthday. After being under surveillance, I got a bit irate. I started sort of raising my voice in public a bit, not threatening anything too violent, but causing alarm in terms of my behaviour. That I was aware that I was being surveyed, to the point that effectively an armed response was put in a surveillance position where they would stand back and just follow with guns. This really did stress me out because I felt that they wouldn't stop following me, and it's a worry, really. It really is a worry, because you walk around and you do something silly and perhaps your reaction is a gun, and that was a scary experience for walking in public, or that was a scary experience in case I was bugged at home, and for me I got very stressed.
Before I was admitted to hospital in 2008, I experienced a surveillance team watching me and following me, and the recording you just heard was me speaking about a surveillance team that was following me, who basically in the end decided that they needed to arm themselves. In other words, not just watch and follow, they needed to also put guns on their bodies and carry guns around with them in case they needed to shoot me. And that was what I was talking about in that voice recording you just heard. After that, I ended up getting sectioned, and when I got sectioned, I basically had an experience, and this video here talks about that experience. I want to talk about something that happened in 2008. I became very, very, very scared after feeling like I was being watched by an intelligence service. I became very, very scared that I was going to be killed. You could say that's natural. You could say that because I was followed, or because I, felt that I was being followed, that I naturally thought that there was a danger to my life. However, I started to overhear people saying that they had to kill me, and after having a feeling that I was being followed by an intelligence service, I became very scared that I was going to die, because I was hearing that I was going to die. And, well, everyone thought I was crazy, and that's fine. There was no problem at all now, or it's no problem anymore. But I walked into a hospital room in the middle of the night. It was a hospital room I was sectioned in. I was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. I looked out of the window after seeing two men in my room, and there were three soldiers, and the middle soldier was holding his gun directly towards me, pointed and aimed directly at me. The next day, two patients also spoke to me and confirmed they saw those three soldiers on the field with guns that I saw. And let's rewind back to the room. I went into the room and I saw two men dressed in army uniforms in my room. And in my room, after looking out the window, I got down onto the floor. It was a hospital bed I was on, and somebody was pumping the hospital bed up. It pumped 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. I was laid down on the floor, terrified that I was going to be killed. I eventually stood up. I stood up, and one man pointed his gun at me, ushering me into the corner. On the bed, my hospital bed, was a man in military uniform with a rope and a gun. The gun was on the bed, and he was tying a rope. He was tying some form of knot in the rope. And as I had a gun pointed towards me, and this was in the dark in my room, but as I had a gun pointed towards me, it became clear that it looked like they were going to tie the rope around my neck and make it look like I committed suicide. I stood in the corner, sitting there or standing there for 5 minutes, approximately 5 minutes, and it felt much longer than 5 minutes, imagining how much it would hurt for the bullet in that gun to go through my skin and the pain I would have to suffer if that was to happen. It made me incredibly scared, and it made me think that I didn't want to die. I didn't want to have my life ended. I wanted to live on. I wanted to continue to be alive. It made me think that, I've got to get out of this situation that I'm in. It made me think that I had to get out of the situation that I was put in. And eventually what happened was I heard mind control talking to me, and it told me to run all that I can. And so I legged it. I ran from the position I was in, round out of the corner, out of the hospital room, and then legged it down the hallway. As I legged it down the hallway, hospital staff jumped on top of me, grabbed me, held me to the floor, put their knee in the back of my neck, pulled down my trousers, and injected me with an injection. I was screaming and I was shouting for help. I thought I was dead. I thought, that's it, I'm not going to live through this night. And now the hospital was putting me asleep. The staff in the hospital were injecting me with medicine that knocks a person out, tranquilizer. They eventually got off me, and I went and had a cigarette in one of the rooms in the hospital, and they said there was nobody in the room, and this was a good 5 minutes later. So I went to have a look in the room, and yes, there was no one there, but then 5 minutes had passed. I'd had a cigarette, I'd been injected in the bum with tranquilizer. There was plenty of time for men to escape my room, and they told me to go to bed. When I was on the floor, they were saying, shh, shh, it's okay, James, it's okay, James, shh, shh, it's okay, James, it's okay, repeatedly. It was horrible. It was, I needed to get away from the people with the guns. I needed to get away from the people that were killing me. And I wasn't allowed to get away. They were controlling this situation. I needed to escape the hospital. I needed to get out of that building, and they were giving me tranquilizer that was putting me to sleep. They put me back in my room, and I tried to stay awake, but I was obviously under a lot of tranquilizer in me, and those tranquilizers are known to knock anybody out. Big, small, anybody. They knock you out completely. And I went to sleep while trying to stay awake, believing that that was my last night on this planet. That was it. In this mental hospital in Dorset, I was going to die from this point forward. I was dead, and somebody had just tried to kill me. Who I thought had just tried to kill me was MOD. I believed MOD wanted me dead. Something politically the government could not get through the door. Something politically the government couldn't see happening. Therefore, the MOD took it in their own hands with their own powers to end my life. And whether the MOD say they don't kill or do kill, this is something that happened. I saw this with my own eyes, so I still believe it. And, I woke up the next day thinking it's not like I can phone the police. The police are on the same side as the MOD. The police can't do anything to prevent the MOD from killing me. The police can't do anything to support me or protect me. So there's no point reporting what had happened. The powers that be, the British government or the British MOD, they knew what they were doing, and because they knew what they were doing, there was nothing I could do to prevent that. There was nothing I could do to stop them doing that. And I lived that day forward believing, and that was really, truly believing, that, the government or the MOD wanted me dead, that the military wanted me not to exist in Great Britain. It was incredibly traumatic for me and it changed my life massively. I sort of went underground in a sense where I stayed in my flat, and while I lived my life, I was very careful from that point forward not to do anything that would cause alarm to perhaps the MOD or perhaps to someone else that would enable them to come in and tie another rope around my neck while holding me at gunpoint and then make it look like I hung myself. Um, it was an eye opener. It really was an eye opener, and it's something that I always believed happened. Now, whether it was delusional to believe it happened or not, I have eyewitnesses who also saw the military soldiers outside of my room, outside on that side of the grounds of the hospital. So that was seen, and the guns were pointed at my room. And so I have two witnesses that saw that. The second thing to note is while I saw two military soldiers with guns in my room and the rope and everything else, somebody was in my room to pump the hospital bed up. And I didn't see anybody else but the two soldiers, and the two soldiers that I saw must have pumped the bed up because I wasn't physically anywhere near the pump. I went to check back when I came over this situation and came to that was a real situation a few days later. The hospital bed pump was nowhere near where I was laid down on the floor. So somebody pumped that up. So that's another thing. They're not electric pumps. They have to be done manually. And somebody did that to me. So I just thought I would share something that has been something I've kept quiet about since 2008 and something I've never really... The official explanation for what happened in Forreston Clinic is that I hallucinated visually. Everything that happened, according to my eyes, according to the official explanation, is that I hallucinated. So outside in the grounds, there were not free troops, according to the official explanation, despite two other witnesses within the hospital telling me they also saw the free troops on the grounds of the hospital. And the official explanation is they also hallucinated. And with the soldiers in my room, the official explanation is that the two soldiers in my room were a visual hallucination, and that nobody held me at gunpoint, nobody tried to kill me, and that I imagined the whole thing, the whole episode. So that is the official explanation. It doesn't explain to me how a non-electric bed pump for a hospital bed pumps up by itself. Poltergeists are not really proven to exist, and while I don't believe poltergeists exist, therefore somebody was in my room pumping up the hospital bed in my room for whatever reason they decided to pump that hospital bed up for. And the fact that I have two other witnesses who saw on the grounds what I saw on the grounds shows that not everything was a visual hallucination. However, I have to understand that the government or the military or the hospital mental health services will not admit to the truth or the complete truth on this subject about what happened. But I very, very much definitely saw three troops on the field and one pointed a gun at me, directly at me. I very much saw two troops in my room and one had a rope and it looked like he was trying to hang me, and another held me at gunpoint in my room. I very much saw that, and that is the case that I very much saw that. And what I have to say is that I believe that one of the two people in my room pumped up the hospital bed that was in my room. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this. I leave it to you to make your own mind up about whether it was a hallucination or something really did happen. Whether it was a crazy episode of mine or whether something with some substance actually happened. Thank you.
James McCloud is one of Britain's leading experts on ufology. James McCloud is the world's leading expert on the subject of mind control and has seen over 1,500 UFOs. Also, he has been mind controlled for over 30,000